Red Dead Redemption 2 has a lot of secret hidden mysteries around the world of the game, and at this point I'm pretty sure everyone who's played the game knows this. In fact, I've covered several other mysteries in the past, and it just shows how many of them are in this one game. And the amount of mysteries that they crammed into this game is insane, and what's more is we really are having trouble figuring out some of them, if not most of them. I'm sure a lot of them are going to remain unsolvable, like the Mount Chiliad mural in GTA 5, but I'm sure that with the help of a community backing these mysteries and uncovering various leads might eventually lead us to the solution for some of these, if not most of them, if we, uncover these things and work hard enough to find them. It might take a while, but it'll be worth it once we've figured it out. If you end up going on to enjoy the video today, a like and a subscribe are always appreciated, as it only does take a second out of your day to make mine. But with that said, let's get right into it. So, for example, one of the mysteries that a person has found a new lead on is the Pagan ritual site in the western portion of the map located here. You can clearly see that some ritualistic stuff is happening here, and a lot of you might actually know about this one since one of the hidden mask locations is right here. You can just pull it off the corpse's head, but here's where it gets interesting. A user over on the Red Dead Mysteries subreddit actually discovered that once he actually came back to the Pagan ritual site, he discovered another corpse lying on the ground. It's interesting to see that a lot of these Easter eggs within the game actually have continual, consistent things that happen to them over the course of time. We aren't necessarily sure how this happened or what he triggered to get the corpse to appear, but according to some users, apparently it'll just reappear once you come back to the area a second time. Who knows if we need more bodies to show up and complete the ritual here. I'm no expert at pagan rituals, so I wouldn't know what is necessarily needed here to complete it or what even happens once the ritual is completed for that matter. But again, it's another one of those things that I think players should look out for in their playthroughs. If you find anything, share your findings and let us all know. And a lot of people said that it's fake and that he just brought the body here, but he actually manages to shoot the body and he gets some low honor for it, and he actually has no indication to pick the body back up. So of course it's definitely real, and considering other people have seen it, I'm 100% certain that this is real. So moving on to the next mystery here, it's yet another mysterious group of symbols found within the world of the game. Of course it's etched onto the side of the tree here like the other ones are, and I'm not really sure what they're supposed to mean. People are making assumptions that they could be based on Louisiana Voodoo, and I'm assuming that they say that because voodoo is defined by Google itself as a black religious cult practiced in the Caribbean and the southern US, combining elements of Roman Catholic rituals with traditional African magical and religious rites, and characterized by sorcery and spirit possession. So basically, it's ritualistic stuff involving witchcraft or magic. But voodoo was actually a prominent thing in Louisiana, which of course this area is located in, aka the southeastern part of the world of the game, since it represents a lot of Louisiana and the geographical and cultural references. I think it's safe to say that the bottom right portion of the map in the game was meant to represent a lot of Louisiana. So I think that if this is Louisiana Voodoo, then someone who's familiar with that stuff can translate these symbols. Otherwise, I know I can't, because I don't live in Louisiana and I've definitely never practiced voodoo. So the next one is going to be another good theory someone has on the missing princess in the game, known as Isabel Katharina Zinsmeister of Luxembourg. And of course, you can find her poster in the Van Horn trading post, and honestly this mystery has been one of the top ones on everyone's mind, and everyone seems to like discussing this one a lot. But I really do think that this guy might be onto something here this time around. This user on the Red Dead Mysteries subreddit talks about how he thinks Francis Sinclair, aka the time traveler, might have something to do with her. He goes on to say this in his post: "Facts. Adult Francis Sinclair is from the future. Princess IKZ disappeared whilst at a remote hunting lodge on a trip to America. Francis's lodge is not on any map or literature from 1899. Both Francis and IKZ have birthmarks on their face. The theory here is that the cabin/lodge is likely not on the map because it isn't technically there in 1899. We know adult Francis is from the future because of the way he speaks and the way that he's dressed. The lodge/cabin isn't on the map because it came with Francis from the future and is only visible when a time traveler is present. So in 1899, when Arthur visits, it's not really there. Therefore, it isn't on the map. This is the only logical explanation if we are assuming it's not a mistake from Rockstar. So how can we further prove it's from the future? Because it has Francis's possessions inside even when we see him as a baby. If the cabin wasn't from the future, the interior would be different on the second encounter because Francis is not an adult. so his possessions would not be there. I think the cabin is a portal only visible when gifted people are in the current time frame. These would be people with the birthmarks on their face. Because of that, I believe that this is where the princess disappeared as well. She had the birthmark. The posters of her missing state that she disappeared whilst at a remote hunting lodge, yet they don't say a location. And he goes on to say, I wonder why. I believe it's because the cabin is a portal and the princess also time traveled upon visiting it and disappeared. Think of it like a TARDIS from Doctor Who, a time machine capable of changing its appearance to fit the time it has traveled to. This would leave everyone unable to find her for 15 years, only her possessions left in 1899. So, of course, there you go. I mean, he also mentions that Francis Sinclair's mother is in on it and is actually aiding him in keeping the cabin a secret to the outside world, because she does indeed seem pretty clueless to the fact that she actually has all of these things in her home that don't belong to her. Among those things is the clear as day maniacal drawings of the future and time travel smack dab in the middle of the house. So yeah, I think this theory checks out, especially considering that the princess herself might be a descendant of Croft, because again, she does have a birthmark on her face, and the reason Sinclair might have came to the time period was to get the princess and take her somewhere, since he himself has a birthmark on his face as well. And on to the next few mysteries. These are going to be pretty quick and concise, considering they aren't that great of finds in my opinion, but there is actually an apparent body someone found in the game using the tracking mode, and apparently people have stated that it's just an NPC that happened to fall into the water and drown, but there's actually no way of knowing since you can't dive in the game and you can't actually even swim as John, so who really knows? What I think we can get from this is that obviously if using the tracking mode actually highlights anything important, we can use that same logic for things that might need to be found in the water and the rivers and whatnot. Just a thought. And for the final mystery, it's one that relates to the fact that Arthur Morgan actually had a son and a wife in the past. Of course, if you guys remember the mission with Rain's Fall, he actually talked about how he lost his son and wife to a gang or something, and mentions how he came across 2 crosses outside of their home and instantly knew they were gone.
You know, I had a son once, years ago. Don't talk about him much.
Oh, what was his name?
Isaac. His mother, Eliza, was a waitress I met. When she got pregnant, she knew who I was, what my life was. I didn't want to promise nothing I couldn't keep, but I said I'd do right by them. Every few months, I'd stop by there for a few days. He was such a good kid. She was too, I guess. Just a kid, 19.
What happened?
I got there one day and...
Wait, stop here. I want to pick some chips. All right, let's go. It's not much further now. You were saying before.
I got there one day and... saw 2 crosses outside. I knew right away. Turned out some bastards had come through. Robbed, shot him dead. Offered $10.
These 2 crosses are apparently shown in the 3rd trailer for the game, and people seem to think that these 2 crosses can be found somewhere in the world. Unfortunately, we don't know where they might be located, and even if we did find them, they might not have names etched out onto them. But I think that if the crosses were somewhere in the game, that maybe, just maybe, Arthur might have some special dialogue or something around these 2 graves. It would be really interesting to see what he might have to say. And as a little bonus mystery, it's not really a mystery per se, but it's something that people have definitely been talking about, and I think that it's interesting to say the least, but I don't think that it necessarily is going to lead to anything. But there could be a way to actually get a completely different ending that no one has actually gotten yet, and the way you could get that possibly is by getting neutral honor, and I'm not sure how you would necessarily go about doing that, but when I say that, I mean you're not necessarily bad or good, so you couldn't get one or the other ending, you would actually get a completely different ending. And of course, a user on the Red Dead Mysteries subreddit actually brought this to light, so I think it's definitely interesting, but it might not be necessarily a mystery, but I think it's definitely something that people should check out regardless. So those are the latest mysteries within the world of Red Dead Redemption 2. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Again, a like and a subscribe are always appreciated, as it only does take a second out of your day to make mine. But let me know down in the comment section below what you think about all of these different mysteries, and maybe you have some leads onto some of them. Maybe you found some other things that you know that other people haven't seen. Let us know down in the comment section below and share your findings. But other than that, that's going to be it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. See you in the next one.